On today's episode, we're talking Star Wars, Superman Legacy casting, and did you guys see Deadpool and Wolverine? All that and more on today's show.
If you enjoy movies, comic books, and pop culture, be sure to like and subscribe.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the REC Podcast, brought to you by REC Comics and Collectibles. I'm your host, Roman Chavez, and with me, as always, is the ghost of Eric Icarus, still missing in action. We miss you, buddy. He's having some car troubles. We understand, but we're going to be talking about some stuff that you would like. You can follow us on Instagram at REC Podcast. You can follow myself at Roman REC Podcast. You can follow the shop at REC Comics, or you can come check us out at 7679 North Union Boulevard in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And on the ones and twos, Big Tuna.
I love the fact that car trouble is now like that's what we refer to as being caught with like 2 kilos.
Well, it was in the car.
Yes, sir. It's snow. It's Colombian snow.
yeah. It's Colorado. It snows here in the summer sometimes. How are you doing this week, buddy?
Pretty good. Just we're on baby watch.
Oh,
could be any minute. I did tell my wife. I was like, if you send a text, it has to be like a coded text.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a CIA dead drop. You know, like she sits down and like opens the newspaper and says like all the leaves are brown, and it's waiting for me to say, and the skies are gray, you know, and that's the code that, like, there's a baby coming out of her.
Totally.
So, so we're ready, first girl in, like, 4 generations on my dad's side, so, 3 generations, something like that, so, yeah, we're all excited.
It's like a cursed thing, you know, like, you're not supposed to have a girl. She could either be the destroyer or the savior, all right?
Yeah, in fiction, it's the 7th son. In reality, it's the first daughter.
Oh, God. Oh, man. Well, it's too bad Mr. Icarus is not here to join us. There are definitely some things that he would have thoughts on, and but I guess we will get to that. This was a great week for pop culture news. All the things that kind of float into our wheelhouse, and we actually got a full-length feature trailer for Disney Plus's Ahsoka. We had seen a teaser before that had some really great, just like gems for all the Rebels fans, a little nods to Clone Wars as well. But this is the first time that we got to see some of the characters speak, some of them talk. That's the same things. But the big thing is that we got to see Lars Milkinson be reintroduced as Moff Tarkin.
Yeah.
Or Grand Admiral Tarkin, excuse me.
Yeah, isn't it Thrawn?
Oh my god.
You're thinking
Dude, I am off.
You're thinking of Peter Cushing.
Dude, I am.
He died in like 1991.
Yes, but he was so realistic in the shadows in Rogue One that I am just on there. Okay, we're gonna flip that. Grand Admiral Thrawn. There we go. I was like, man, all of those words aren't working. But yes, as Grand Admiral Thrawn, who came to popularity in the Thrawn trilogy, in Heir to the Empire, in novel form, and was never really touched on in the saga universe. And it's crazy because in the expanded universe, Thrawn's a big deal. And we get a little taste of that in The Mandalorian, where we're seeing all the remnant leaders of the Empire saying that Thrawn will be just the ushering in of our military, of the power of the Empire. And there were a lot of people that were thinking at one point Robert Downey Jr. was a big rumor because of his connection to Jon Favreau. He does have that look, but Lars Milkinson actually voiced him in Rebels. And I just found this out today. He is the brother to Mads Mikkelsen, who, Le Chiffre, the Dormammu guy. Yeah. He's a good actor. Got a great voice. And, man, he also played... Man, was he in The Scorpion King, too? Anyway, but it was it was great to see him. He has a very unique look.
You're thinking of Clash of the Titans.
He was
in Clash of the Titans, the first one, yeah.
Yeah, he kind of looked like somebody in the Rock's tribe. Yeah. They had the same hair. Yeah. I was like, is this guy... that was the first time I remember seeing him. I didn't know who he was, and I was like, oh, is this guy half Samoan, half black? No. He's what?
He's like Scandinavian.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
But the guy is fantastic. He's a very good actor, and we're talking about Mads Mikkelsen, but let's go back to Lars Milkinson, who had a really good look because Thrawn is blue skinned, red eyed, somebody that Vader and the Emperor really respected, didn't bully around. His military prowess was definitely the big crux of how the Empire was able to stay so strong. But you only really know about that in the novels, comics, and in Rebels, the cartoon. I did not finish Rebels. I'm currently going back through Clone Wars. I want to go through Rebels before August. But as somebody who is not as in depth on the Star Wars kick, are you excited to watch this movie or the show?
Yeah. I mean, like, I recognize some of the characters from like some of my ancillary knowledge of like the extended stuff that's been done, like Clone Wars and Rebels.
Yeah.
I will say it's interesting because I did know that. Heir to the Empire was a phrase that was kind of synonymous with him, and that was used in the trailer. Yeah. And so it's just like kind of that recognition, which is cool to see. Ray Stevenson, who passed away recently, we get to see more of him in kind of this group of like Jedi outcasts, like maybe people that kind of fell by the wayside or kind of like left the order. Yeah. They look, more maybe bounty hunter or maybe more like paramilitary, which is interesting because for a group that talks about peace as much as the Jedi do, they do a lot of killing. Yeah. And so it'll be
in the name of the Republic, okay?
Yeah.
For the good of the Republic.
Yeah. So, the footage looked cool. It was really cool to kind of see the way they sort of adapted some of the looks of the Rebel characters into live action. Mm-hmm. I'm not entirely sure, again, where all this is going to go. Yeah. One of the downsides to what Star Wars has done with expanding their universe is they've done a lot of expanding in the middle. Yeah. Much like the tuna. I had to make the easy joke.
Hey, fatty tuna is the best tuna. Okay? Yeah. It's the highest sought after in the Japanese market. You'd be making a killing, brother.
Cool, yeah. I'll be like those cows that don't walk. When you're expanding a universe, but you're doing it bookended to the story we know, we've got the prequel trilogy, we've got our 7, 8, and 9. Like, there's going to be people who are going to say, where's Thrawn? Yeah. If we see that the timeline of events taking place is parallel with the Mandalorian, which means it's occurring prior to Episode 7 with Rey and Poe and Finn and all that jazz. Where's this going? Yeah. Again, it just like with the multiverse stuff, what are the stakes? Mm-hmm. That's not me saying that they can't tell a compelling story, and that's not me saying that they can't answer those questions. Not every question needs to be answered. Yeah. But when you look at Episode 9, which is supposed to be kind of the Empire's last breath, it's been reborn as the First Order, and then it's reborn as the Final Order, which is really the First Order with like redder costumes, and they're just hiding out on a planet, and like this is all like, oh, we're hiding in seclusion, oh, they happen to have found us, now we can launch this attack to destroy the Resistance, which used to be the Rebellion. Again, it's all... It doesn't work good with the pacing. It doesn't work good with the overall story. Yeah. And so like we might see what might explain the absence of Thrawn in 7, 8, and 9. Mm-hmm. If he's such a big threat, why is it that he's not even name dropped in any of the third trilogy, if you will?
And it's my understanding that George Lucas is very particular about the expanded universe when he was still in charge, and he would allow these things to happen, but they were not to take place in saga form. And it was almost like, if I didn't make it, I don't want it to get the recognition it does. But with Thrawn, it was such a big deal that it was so weird for people who were fans of the expanded universe to not know, no mention. No mention at all. Like, the military is obviously a big part of it, and as somebody who enjoyed the expanded universe, it is great to see them kind of flesh that out. I like what you had to say about them trying to fill in the middle, which, because much to our chagrin and happiness, we have found so much better Star Wars stuff, in my opinion, in this in between. It creates a very strange ending point, because we know whatever happens at the end of Ahsoka, the final order is still going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. So again, what are the stakes? Because we know no matter what happens, we're going to get the events of 7, 8, 9. Yes. Now, to your point, and to call back to the acting brothers we're referring to, Rogue One, which has
Mads Mikkelsen. Holy crap!
Yeah, I know. I was like, is he going to get there? Yeah, Rogue One is my favorite non-trilogy movie. Sure. And story, Empire is my favorite of all of them. But yeah, again, where does it go? It would be like if someone were to talk about like the American Civil War, and there's also talking about Robert E. Lee and Jefferson Davis and Stonewall Jackson, and then it's like, oh, we also don't talk about this Confederate general who was a bigger threat than all of them put together, but just never was at any of the battles that people study.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm not saying they can't have answers, but like they're gonna have to be well crafted.
And if you're not if you're not familiar with Thrawn at all, definitely go back and watch Rebels, because I don't think that this show will have the same impact if you're not as familiar with. I mean, because Ahsoka's fighting him in her late teens, early 20s, and she's got to be in her 40s or something right now. So like.
Because where in the chronology does Rebels mostly take place?
Rebels takes place.
Is it prior after to 3, before 4?
Yes.
Okay, so it's like you could call it the Rogue One period, where it's after Anakin's fall, but prior to.
Vader is around still.
Okay, Vader's around.
Yeah, Vader's around.
It's Anakin's fall. It's after Anakin's fall. Yeah. Vader's around, but it's prior to Luke, Obi-Wan, Tatooine, Han Solo, like those events. Like obviously those people exist.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Where it's like we don't. Do we see in Rebels?
It's before Obi-Wan. Yeah.
It's before. Okay.
Yeah, it's got to be before Obi-Wan because Ahsoka's young.
Well, now again, not to nitpick, but like so if it's before Obi-Wan. Luke is what, maybe 7, 8? Because he's probably supposed to be 19 or 20 in episode 4, A New Hope. So that I mean, he was born at the end of 3, right? Yeah. If Obi-Wan he's 7 or 8, then that would mean that Rebels would take place approximately in those 7 years.
Well,
right?
They're 10 because I think Obi-Wan takes place 10 years after the fall.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it would I'd have to actually look into it, but like just cursory, what I'm thinking, like Ahsoka's storyline, this storyline now should be before.
Well, but now when we say here's the
Mandalorian's
thing.
after.
But see, that's exactly. So Rebels is going to take place before A New Hope. Yeah, and Mandalorian events take place after Jedi. Yeah, and I mean, I've always assumed, I always kind of felt that episodes 4, 5, and 6, the original trilogy, A New Hope, Empire, Return of the Jedi, I've always felt that was like a 5-year span, maybe, somewhere around there, because you don't see them age much, but you get that there's gaps in time. Yeah. But yeah, so now you jump ahead there, and could theoretically be depending because Mandalorian doesn't start immediately after Jedi. No. There's years after that, so Ahsoka could very well be, if she was in her early 20s. In Rebels, she could be in her late 30s, early 40s, possibly.
That makes sense.
In terms of the amount of years. Yeah. But again, that may not need to be something they even need to address. We just know that she's older. It's clear the events of Rebels have taken place because they reference the characters having previously been together, and we see them together in Rebels. Yeah. So.
And we've been seeing different characters from Rebels in there. You pointed out, and that was a great kind of throwback. There's like this mural of the Rebels characters, and it's like done in the old in their style of animation. So now I don't know that this is story that's been printed. So I don't know if Filoni and crew are just finishing this story based on the things that happened before. So I don't know if this is brand new stuff. This is not Star Wars stuff that I'm overly familiar with. And it may all be brand new. Like, they may never have finished that even in book or comic form.
Yeah, with the amount of speculation about some of the characters, this all looks new. Okay. Like, it looks like a lot of the villains, Ray Stevenson's villain, the people we see with the orange lightsabers, they all look like they're new. Yeah. In terms of the reporting I've seen. Yeah. So, I don't think those characters are existing that we've seen in, like, Rebels or Clone Wars. And I do think they're being very sparse in what they're releasing in print and then adapting on screen. Like, I think a lot of the stuff we've seen has been fairly original. Yeah. Especially with Mandalorian. In order to create those moments of tension and what will this character lead to, or this character showing up here or there. Or
yeah. The trailer looks great. I'm very excited to watch it. I just need to start Rebels again, right? Just forget Clone Wars and everything, and just get into Rebels to refresh. Not to be outdone, DC Comics, DC Universe released some casting news via Variety, I believe is the source right now.
Yeah. Variety, Vanity Fair, a few of the big reporting groups ran it. Busy day for James Gunn. Not only did the what's called the final trailer, about a 3-minute trailer for Blue Beetle came out today, but also the casting news telling us that Superman Legacy is going to have more powered people than just Superman.
It's pretty wild. I'm as a comic book fan. All right, I guess we should just say right off the bat, they announced that they're going to be doing Mr. Terrific, HAWKGIRL, and Guy Gardner. Mr. Terrific you may recognize from X-Men First Class as the unkillable mutant that they killed. His name is Eddie Gathegi. We've seen he was in the Twilight, one of the Twilight films, but he played Darwin in X-Men First Class. I was very upset when they got rid of him. HAWKGIRL has been cast by Isabella Merced, or Mercad, I don't know how you say it. I'm not as familiar with her work. She did not look familiar to me at all. Are you familiar with anything that she's in?
The one of the main things that she's known for as playing one of the characters in Sicario, Day of the Soldado, the sequel, as well as probably a movie that you saw and have a poster of, and that is the live-action movie version of Dora the Explorer.
Was she Dora?
She was the backpack.
Oh.
She was Abuela. She was Dora. It's interesting though those two characters being cast because we've seen iterations of them. HawkGirl's been in a lot of DC animation, not just the shows, Justice League and some of those things, but also Mr. Terrific had a very big presence in the Arrowverse. And so this is a character, and he crossed over with Flash, the TV show and stuff. So we've seen both of those characters in some capacity, not in film, but we've seen them, somewhat recently. The third casting news with Guy Gardner is interesting because we're getting in my mind, I know he may not be chronologically the third Green Lantern because Alan Scott and all that. But I would have thought we'd see a Hal Jordan or a Jon Stewart, but getting a Guy Gardner with Nathan Fillion, kind of the big, James Gunn workhorse.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great. Like, I think everyone kind of knew he'd show up somewhere.
Yeah.
There is a part of me that would have liked to have seen, again, maybe it doesn't work with the age, perhaps. They're giving us a younger Superman, a younger Lois Lane. Part of me is like, man, if he'd have shaved his head, he could have made a pretty cool Lex Luthor. But Guy Gardner definitely has moments of being like that tough as nails, you're going to run an extra lap PE teacher. So it will be interesting to kind of see how he plays it.
Yeah, and the age does matter because, Guy and Hal should be really close in age. In the comics, Hal Jordan gets the ring from Abin Sur, the Green Lantern of his sector, when he's dying, and it's just that Hal was closer. Like, if Abin had fallen near Guy Gardner, the ring would have went to Guy. Like, there's not much difference in their willpower. Hal Jordan describes Guy Gardner's willpower as it can't wait to get out of the ring. His is the only ring that sparks when he's using it because his willpower is so strong he can't wait to show people.
So would a Green Lantern Sinestro rather have a Guy Gardner than a Hal Jordan?
No, because Batman's punched this guy in the face. Like, Batman doesn't just punch heroes in the face. Like, Guy knows how to push your buttons. Okay. He is a jerk, but he's a lovable badass with a heart of gold.
Do you think we'll get some run your mouth sort of Deadpool sort of feel from him, where it's just it's kind of like a you need to know when to shut up kind of stuff?
It's going to be interesting, and you made this a thought was. They said that they cast HAWKGIRL, Mr. Terrific, and Guy Gardner, basically. Guy Gardner is a character, but they didn't say Green Lantern, they said Guy Gardner. And to your point, it's very possible that we just see him in maybe he's got, in the comics, he has a bar called Warriors. Like, I don't know, because having him be so much older than Clark, that's very different from the comics.
Now it could be that while we're recording, James Gunn might be, pinging off a tweet saying, "Oh, by the way, Guy will have his ring." We don't know that necessarily.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything that was deliberate, explicit.
Yeah.
Saying that he would have it. But again, it would be interesting to explore some of these characters. I don't see how you do HAWKGIRL without her being HAWKGIRL.
Yeah.
It's kind of who she is.
Yeah.
Mr. Terrific can be inventing before he's all fair play.
Yeah.
And so I could see a Guy Gardner, pre Green Lantern.
Yeah.
But we're getting James Gunn did confirm we're going to get early years of Clark at the Daily Planet. So they kind of wanted to sort of set the stage that he's not. This isn't that moment in Christopher Reeve Superman where he's just off the farm. We might get like a flashback or something, but I think they want to give us a young, but he's got the job. He's on the job.
He's already got the juice.
Yeah. So, very interesting because each of those actors and actress, they very much have different feels to them. It's hard to tell exactly where they're going to go. What James Gunn has done beautifully with Guardians of the Galaxy is he's given us characters that we love to hate.
Yeah.
He's given us good villains.
Yeah.
When you think about in the three Guardians movies, probably the most forgettable of the three villains was Ronan the Accuser. But I think part of that had to do with the fact that Guardians 1 was more about telling us who the Guardians were. They needed a two-dimensional villain. Yeah. And they're giving us Kree later. Yeah. We're getting Kree in Miss Marvel.
In the Marvels.
In the Marvels. But Ego, Kurt Russell, is a fantastic. I mean, the whole dad, but he's the villain, fantastic, and then High Evolutionary in Guardians 3, and so again, we don't know specifically where James Gunn's going to take us with a villain. We talked about that in the last episode about some possible villain ideas that they could use, but we are getting a very interesting kind of surrounding cast to our Lois and our Clark, who are right now the only confirmed casting decisions by Gunn. Yeah. So there's still more to speculate about. Some of the story beats, villain arc, how this is going to help build the universe. Again, they were very deliberate that while the DCU is launching with Blue Beetle and Aquaman, I genuinely, my 100% honest opinion, we're going to forget about both of those movies as soon as they come out. Yeah. I think neither's going to do well at the box office. I think Aquaman maybe makes half of what the first one did.
Wow. Which would still be a big success for DC.
Yeah. And I mean, again, that's me being generous. The only reason I think it could make half a billion is because the first one made $1 billion. Yeah. But I think that they didn't want to get out in front of the releases of Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman, and pretty much tell you that these don't matter. Yeah. I think that they're being strategic in their support of these movies. I mean, Gunn tweeted out the trailer, and he's like, "It looks great," and these things. He was saying the same stuff about Flash.
Yeah. But I liked Flash more than I thought I would.
Sure, I just mean I think
you got to toe the line.
They're worried about shooting themselves in the foot. If they say Superman is really the relaunch of the DCU, fans are legitimately going to ask, why go to Blue Beetle? Yeah. Why go to Aquaman 2?
And now if they fail, they can say, you know what, we can get past this, and we're going to clean slate it with Superman Legacy.
Absolutely. So again, Superman Legacy is I think in many ways it can be a palate cleanser. Yeah. Batman is going to come after Superman Legacy, and the other stories, the Creature Commandos.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So again, we've got some trajectory, but it is interesting. I'm glad we're getting some of this casting news telling us that these properties, Mr. Terrific and HAWKGIRL and the Green Lanterns, in some capacity are being introduced in this movie. I'm not concerned that it's going to be overfilled, because I think Gunn knows what weapons to use when. Yeah. He's a quarterback.
As any good gun should.
Yeah. He is a master of the RPO. So I'm excited to see where he goes with it, though.
You some people ask, when they watch the show and they come talk to me in the shop, they ask us where we get some of these numbers from, and I always tell, people don't know that don't always know that you worked in the theater industry as well, but a movie only makes $1 billion if it's rewatchable. It does not make $1 billion from people watching it one time. So
the only thing I would say might be an exception to that would be Avatar. A lot of people I know went back and watched it again. Yeah. But again, I think the fan base for Avatar is a mile wide and an inch deep. Yeah. We've talked about how we don't see the comics flying off the shelves. We don't see people dressing in blueface. Yeah. We don't see video game tie-ins. We don't see TV series on Disney Plus. We don't see those things. Yeah. But it seemed like everybody wanted to go see Avatar in theaters, both 1 and 2. But to your point, the rewatchability, and I think certain things play into that. The release, when it happens in the year, the length of the movie. You tell someone, you're going to sit through a 3-hour movie that costs you $20 for the ticket. Are you going to go back for another 3 hours, pay another $20? I think that's different than your 90-minute, 110-minute release. That's a summer movie where you've got more possible expendable time. There's a lot of things that factor into that for sure.
Totally. And we have had the Mr. Terrific in the Arrowverse, which was the worst version of Mr. Terrific that I've seen. He was kind of a quirky inventor that worked, for the Queen Industries or something. In the comic books, his character is very, very, it's got layers to it. There's not really another superhero like him. The second Mr. Terrific, who is what I assume that they're casting as a savant, just good at everything he does. So good at everything that he does that he gets bored. And I believe, if I remember correctly, his wife is pregnant, and I believe she dies during not during the birth, but during the pregnancy.
They do say that he will be playing Michael Holt.
Okay, yeah. So Michael Holt is the black Mr. Terrific, and
they cast the right guy for it.
There you go. And he's an interesting character with layers. Like, he's an atheist, and after his wife dies, he goes to a bridge to jump. And there's another guy who's having problems, and Michael goes to the bridge. And you're assuming that he's going there to jump. And while he's there, he sees another guy who's going to commit suicide. And he talks him down. And he believes in this idea of fair play, which came from the original Mr. Terrific. And, he's an inventor. He can't be seen by technology, which is weird. And he always has what Jordan calls the T-balls, but they're T-spheres, okay? They're T-spheres, and these are little robotic spheres that are constantly collecting data. They do have offensive capabilities and all that, but even now as I'm explaining it, it sounds weird to be done live action, and they did a little bit of it in Arrow, but it didn't look very good.
Yeah, and I almost wonder if maybe before we see it weaponized as a hero, if it'll be something where it's collecting data on the metahuman known as Superman. Kind of wondering if that's the direction they take it. It could very well be if they want to introduce Luthor Corp, and he's a scientist there.
That would work. Yeah.
Again, there's options. Giving us HAWKGIRL, who's an alien.
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say they could take the alien route.
Yeah.
Where we have Clark, who is an alien.
Thanagarians.
Whatever. Yeah.
It's a different snare beast.
It's a different planet. So they're an alien. But yeah. So it would be interesting, kind of see the symmetry of their experiences, perhaps on Earth.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that again. I feel fully vindicated when I was talking about Guardians 3 on the show, and I was like, I have no worries. I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be hard. And Gunn exceeded my expectations with it. I'm going to give him all the benefit of the doubt with this. I think Superman, again, he's one of my least favorite film superheroes because of the overpowered concern. But gosh, if you were to ask me, if you were to give me, a list of people in Hollywood that have had a proven track record of telling a good superhero story, Gunn would be the first one I'd say, let's give him a crack at it.
Totally.
So yeah, I'm not concerned there. However, we do have a third superhero to mention and talk about, not in the DC universe.
But before we get there, we need to talk about SDCC. Okay.
Oh, yes.
Comic-Con is next week, so we won't be recording a show. And some interesting things have kind of developed. We know the writer's strike is now going on its third month, and without any kind of end in sight. And it's saying any day now, right? That the Screen Actors Guild.
So the Screen Actors Guild, the reporting I saw said that the voting would essentially take place Wednesday, and if they vote to approve, it would essentially start Wednesday.
Okay.
I don't know, time and time zone specifically what that's looking like, but essentially a lot of the reporting has been that if the Screen Actors Guild does essentially strike in solidarity with the writers, that pretty much any Screen Actors Guild affiliated actor or actress would not work.
Yeah.
Which means if your movie's filming, you are not reporting for shooting your dailies. If your let's say in the Southern California region next week, and your studio wants there to be a press event, at Comic-Con, that you would not report to it.
Yeah.
Now, again, I don't know exactly where the legal lines are. If some people will, quote unquote, cross the picket line and continue filming or show up to Comic-Con or something. Again, it's not uncharted territory. It's been a minute though. It's been 15, 16 years since we were in a scenario like this. So.
Yes, and yeah, like what a lot of people are speculating is that if this goes through, we're not going to see the talent at the con, and that's going to deter a lot of people. People are already committed to go. You spend a lot of money to get there, you're going. But that is definitely a high point for a lot of people. How it affects me, I was talking about this with a customer today, is that I need those however many thousands of people that 6,000 people from Hall H off the showroom floor to make it easier for me to buy stuff. Now those 6,000 people, they might be in here. Now, they could still bring footage. The directors could still go. I don't know.
Theoretically, I mean, I think it's the strike would be for affiliated members, I believe, in their capacity as actors.
Yeah.
So if I'm a director, I might in solidarity choose to, perhaps, whatever. Again, some of this could be wrapped up in legalese. It could be wrapped up in pressure. Because do you want to be the one director that's like, I'm moving forward, we're in the editing bay, and everyone else is reporting for work. We're doing our jobs while those people are out there. I mean, that is something that some people will have to consider.
Yeah. And it creates a conundrum for the people who love Hall H. You're when you've gone, that's your kind of that's what you go for is the Hall H stuff. So that'll be interesting. The last bit of news to not be outdone. Marvel doing its thing. We got to see some Deadpool 3 set photos, is what we're calling them?
Yeah, there were set photos. Ryan Reynolds posted a set photo. A bunch of other outlets ran it. There was then, over the last day, there's been some more behind-the-scenes footage from filming Deadpool 3. When it was announced, when he made the video with Hugh Jackman, where they're like, listen, like, well, Wolverine's done, but you want to come back for one more? And he's like, sure. Everyone's thought was like, what is he going to look like? Are we going to get, what is the appearance going to look like? I loved his, grizzled Logan appearance. Yeah. But, would that work again? I mean, what is this Wolverine? Is this going to be a Wolverine from, the Singer universe? And, there's a lot of questions. But we did get that beautiful look. I was so blown away at how well adapted they gave us Hugh Jackman in the classic blue and yellow suit. If you look very
no
mask. The detail that I liked the most was the knuckles. Again, as a huge fan of the cartoon, just seeing that little wardrobe piece was like, oh, I'm glad they did that. Really cool to see. Some of the internet people were like, oh, we want to see him with a mask. Why is he wearing sleeves? And there's a lot of debate about if there was something to do with him previously having a skin cancer diagnosis.
Yeah. We've seen him with, getting stuff removed from his face.
Yeah, absolutely.
That beautiful face.
Yeah, and as someone who had a parent deal with melanoma twice, cancer's no laughing matter in that regard. So I get taking the precautions. It's ironic he's walking next to Deadpool, who's like a living embodiment of cancer. Yeah. So don't get too close. Yeah. But interestingly enough, today a lot of set photos were released from them shooting an action sequence with Wolverine fighting Deadpool. He's picking him up and stuff. But we see this in the ruins Planet of the Apes Statue of Liberty-esque 20th Century Fox logo. I said before the show, I would love it. It would be such a meta joke to give us a teaser that shows Deadpool showing up in this universe, realizing he's in the 20th century universe, 20th Century Fox universe, and then Hugh Jackman showing up, and maybe all this filming is them filming a teaser that's going to come out.
That would be great.
It would be
something to bring to Comic-Con.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just a little something. Give us Hugh Jackman as Wolverine with the claws, dropping an F-bomb. Give us the DP3 logo. Yeah. All that. We've speculated that Deadpool 3, it probably ends with him in the MCU somehow, and that gives us okay, that's how they keep this character alive. There is part of me that's also Ryan Reynolds isn't getting any younger, and this was a passion project. I mean, we've seen these two characters and these two actors together all the way back in Origins, Wolverine, and this the whole bastardized interpretation of Deadpool in that movie. A lot of fans were like, "Oh my gosh!" And even Ryan was let down by it. And then they shot the test footage that got leaked, and he joked about who leaked it, and then we got a Deadpool 1 movie that people loved the violent tone of it. Deadpool 2, which amped up the humor. It gave us Cable, did some really cool, clever stuff with
Juggernaut sequence that is really fun.
Yeah, Juggernaut sequence gave us X Factor, killed them all,
or X Force. And I mean, what a funny way to do that. You know, like, hey, here's the nod. Deadpool is the ultimate fan service movie.
Yeah.
And it's working. Is Deadpool 2 any better than Deadpool 1? I'd say no, because that one has the magic. Just like Avengers 1, when you go back and you watch it, the costumes aren't nearly as good as they are in Endgame, but Endgame doesn't have the exact same, oh my god, this is happening type thing. I think that would be really cool. It would not be at all weird for them to just film something to bring to Comic-Con in pure Deadpool fashion. Because didn't they show the test footage there too later?
Yeah, they did. And that's not the only movie. I remember one of the test footage releases that got a lot of people excited was Ant-Man.
Yeah.
And that test footage early on,
I think he was still attached to it.
I was going to say, I think Edgar Wright may have been attached to it when that was shot.
Yeah. Because Edgar Wright doesn't jump ship until they're already filming.
They were filming, and the test footage didn't have any acting talent. It was just stuntmen. Mm-hmm. And proof of concept, as they call it. They wanted to show what would a character sizing down into an ant, keeping his momentum and his strength and his inertia, what would that look like? And they gave us that little hallway fight, really cool. And again, as someone who had very little knowledge, when I saw that, I was like, I want to see a whole movie. Yeah. Like, I want to see how they do this.
Yeah. Tron Legacy. That was such a big reveal. I think in 2008 when I went, they didn't. It was you must have went in 2009 or 10, right?
For the 9 was my first year.
Okay, so and you would have loved 2008 because that's where they had Flynn's Arcade downtown. Oh, they had the second year
that was 2009 because that's when they were doing press. You might remember they recorded us in Hall H, and when our main character is on the grid to fight, and they're chanting Disc Wars and they're chanting Rinsler, the audio, and even if you watch the credits at the end of Tron Legacy, you'll see a special thanks to San Diego Comic-Con, so they incorporated the audio in. We haven't talked too much about, there have been some casting announcements for Tron 3.
Really?
They have cast a few actors. Again, we don't know. My guess is that they move on from the Flynn and the Garrett Hedlund, Olivia Wilde. I think they move on from that and they give us a story that fits into that universe. Sure. Jared Leto has been cast in it.
Okay.
But it'll be very interesting to see for sure.
Man.
I mean, as superhero fans, we have to agree. We may not have liked everything on our plate, but we've been eating good.
Oh yeah.
And so it is easy to pick at this and that. Again, if I were to watch Flash again, there would be stuff I didn't catch the first time that I would catch the second time. There'd be a scene that I probably didn't appreciate or care for as much the first time that I would appreciate the second time. Like, it's nice that we have that ability. Yeah. I can't think of any superhero movie I've seen recently that I liked less the second time I've seen it.
Yeah.
So the fact that we as fans have been able to enjoy that. Again, not everything is going to be Oscar caliber. Not everything is going to be Nolan worthy. Not everything is going to make a bill. But again, you can tell us a good story. Give us good heart. Give us good action. Adapt stories, but give us something new and different. Keep us guessing. Yeah. All that stuff. And it's hard to do all that. But when they do it well, it pays off. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Seeing Hugh Jackman, I've always said that the great when we knew Hugh Jackman wasn't going to come back, it was like the great loss for the comic book community was that we weren't going to see this actual Deadpool and Hugh Jackman on the same screen, and to get that, even they're saying like thanks Kevin Feige, it's crazy that they're even amenable to that given the fact that they just want to, the Fox universe is done.
Yeah.
But yeah, seeing him in that costume, I still think we'll get him in the mask at some point. I do hope we get him doing the F-bomb, but not in the trailer. I want to see it in the. I want it to be a moment. I almost want to forget about it, and then it happens. But how can he be on screen with Wade?
But do you remember? He did drop a fantastic F-bomb as a cameo in First Class. Yeah. It's just a completely unexpected cameo that just fits so perfectly. Yeah. Cerebro, going around. And it makes sense that they run into him and forget him or moving on. Yeah. And then their paths cross much later, I mean, he would have no memory of it.
Yeah.
It's interesting though. We've had 3 live action Spider-Man, probably 3 Superman. Live action Superman, right? I mean, movie-wise. Christopher Reeves, Henry Cavill, Ralph. 8 Batman, live action. But 1 live action Wolverine.
I know, man. He made us love him when he didn't look like the character, except for the hair. They always did the hair pretty good. Yeah. But like,
in the first one, like it curls up like he's like from Loompa Land a little bit too much. But by the second one, like they nailed the trim of the beard and the hair, and
he was beefing up.
Yes,
because he's very
lean. Yeah, he's lean, one. But he's Canadian lean. Like Gordon Lightfoot.
He's free healthcare lean.
Right? He's Edmund Fitzgerald lean.
Yes, I'm nothing but excited. I hope they bring something. I'm not going to brave the lines of Hall H for definitely if no actors could be there. But I'm because the footage just comes out that day or comes out the next day. So I won't be braving it, but I'm hoping that the people who go to Hall H enjoy what they're seeing, and again, stay off the showroom floor. I need those lines just a little bit smaller. That's our show. If you like what we're doing, please hit that subscribe button. Click that little bell. Please tell your friends. We're trying to get more viewers here, so really help us out. Are you excited about Ahsoka and Superman Legacy, and of course Deadpool 3? If you're not excited about Deadpool 3, you're ridiculous. And just let us know what you think below. Big Tuna, any thoughts for us? Any takes?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a challenge going out to our YouTube audience. I want to know who you think would win in a straight-up fight, Deadpool or Wolverine. Yeah. Again, the healing factor, and these there's a lot that would go into that could play into it. Yes. But I'm curious to see kind of what our viewing audience would feel. And
not what we've seen, but what do you in your heart of hearts? Who do you think wins that fight? Because you have two unkillable objects, like it makes
an unstoppable force and an immovable object.
Yeah, they just stand there. All right, kids, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I've been your host, Roman Chavez, and for the Big Tuna and the Ghost of Icarus, we will catch you on the next podcast.